Please give a warm Rotary Club of Cincinnati welcome to Jeff Berding.
Thank you. Pleased to be with you this afternoon and to have the opportunity to share our vision for FC Cincinnati, our new professional soccer team here in Cincinnati. I have a PowerPoint presentation, and normally the PowerPoint presentation would sort of be up here with me. So not all of it will need to totally focus on. We might go back and forth a little bit. But to start the introduction, we have a little trailer video.
The red-shoed Harks. Off of Johnson and into the net.
FC Cincinnati.
So we all know Cincinnati is a big league town. You know, when we voted as a community on the stadiums back in 1996, it was sort of a referendum on our image as a community. And did we want to be a major league town with the history of the Reds and the Bengals, or did we want to maybe fall back on some other cities that have more minor league towns, smaller venues, smaller cities? And I think overwhelmingly, the community said, no, we're a big league town. We have all these big league companies, we have big league arts, we have big league civic organizations like the Rotary. We're big league. And so the goal here with FC Cincinnati is to bring big league soccer, major league soccer at the highest level to Cincinnati. And so that's our vision, and I appreciate the opportunity to present to you today and maybe ask for your help. Why soccer? Why do we think that this can work? Well, in the United States, from the 18 to 35 age group, second favorite sport behind football is soccer. It's professional soccer. In the MLS, they're averaging over 22,000 fans a game. You can see they're building 15 new soccer stadiums. Some of the MLS teams are drawing 65,000, 50,000. An expansion team in Florida, Orlando City, is averaging 30,000 fans a game. And you're getting some of these international friendlies selling out the Rose Bowl, 90,000, 100,000 at Michigan Stadium 2 summers ago. And so it is growing. Donnie Barber, the commissioner of MLS, says that it's a new country and soccer is the new sport given the changing demographics of our country. So here we are in Cincinnati. How does it fit here in Cincinnati? Well, in Cincinnati we have over 56,000 active youth soccer players in the Ohio South region. We have over 5% of our population is now international and growing. We have a number of countries represented. You can see 117. Our community is getting younger and it's getting more international. And soccer is at the forefront of for many of those people. Soccer is the world's most popular sport by far. We can thank the British for that. As they expanded their empire, they took soccer with them. It's the third highest attended sport in the United States. And I'd share the Women's World Cup last year, which captivated our country. The Women's World Cup games had more viewers than any of the NBA Finals games with LeBron James, any Major League Baseball World Series games. That was the interest here in our country in soccer. I brought these next 2 slides with me from the Bengals. Every year for the last 20 years, I would get a sponsorship deck from the league and share with our suite holders, our sponsors, our network partners. And obviously the intention is to show how the NFL is king, and it is. So you can see here, if you ask people, Nielsen ratings, what are you watching? What sports are people in our country watching? And if you say 18 to 49-year-olds, what are they watching in sports? And of course, the NFL is king, number one by far. College football, number two. But look at third, soccer. Ahead of the NBA, ahead of college basketball, ahead of MLB, NASCAR, golf, NHL, and tennis. Now, I can tell you, 10 years ago, soccer wasn't even on this chart. And in the last 10 years, it slowly moved into the chart. But in the last 5 years, it catapulted past the NBA and Major League Baseball. So then if you ask people, this is the ESPN Chilton poll, they've been doing this poll for years, again, a part of it at the NFL deck. What is your favorite sport? And so if you ask that to Americans 12 and older, again, you see the NFL is king. Now you have MLB come in because my father's generation grew up on baseball. And then, of course, college football. But there you have soccer. Ahead of the NBA, ahead of college basketball, NHL, NASCAR. Well, what's driving that? Changing demographics, younger millennials. It's a sport that appeals to them. It's a sport that they play. In many cases, it's a sport that their parents play and maybe introduced to them. So why is this going to work in Cincinnati? What are the challenges? Well, you certainly need strong ownership. You need patient ownership, willing to invest and grow, just like any other startup. You need a place to play. You can't call yourself a professional sport and you're playing in a high school stadium. You need experienced sports management, not just amateur sports enthusiasts, in order to secure the business partnerships and run the business, And then, of course, you need a top-level professional league with quality soccer, quality sport that people find entertaining. So our goal is to prove that the Cincinnati market can support professional Major League Soccer, and how we get there, our roadmap is to do the first four things, and then draw, on average, 10,000 a game, paid attendance to all of our games. And so let's start with the ownership. Who's our ownership? Well, I'm thrilled to partner with Carl Linder III and his family. They're our majority owners. Our minority partners are Scott Farmer, George Joseph, Jack Wyan, Steve Hightower. And then we bought the franchise from the Dutch Capital Group, a company in the Netherlands that owns soccer franchises across the United States. We left them on as minority partners because they're helping us with players, and particularly helping us bring international friendlies here to Cincinnati. So you need a stadium. Again, you can't be a high school stadium. So we have the new Nippert Stadium. Tremendous $90 million plus investment from the university. We're going to play on a soccer-only field. So we're not playing on the football lines. You'll see authentic green soccer field down there with the soccer lines. It's a game of constant action. It's 2 hours. The experience fits our lifestyle, and obviously with the new Martin Luther King exchange and all the improvements on 75, it's going to be very good ingress and egress for our fans. People ask, why is UC doing this? What's in it for UC? Well, when we met with Mike Moan and with President Ono and others up there, I think they felt that it was a fun activity in the spring and summer between March Madness and the start of the football season. They have over 35,000, almost 40,000 students on campus, and that's a demographic group for whom soccer is, again, one of their top sports. It's a natural draw for the growing percentage of international students that UC is bringing to their campus. This year's class has the largest international class in the history of UC. Again, for many of them, in their countries, soccer is number one. It's certainly an opportunity. Again, there's 56,000 youth players. We have a partnership. Any youth club that brings their kids, the families to our games, they're going to get 20% of the ticket revenue back as a corporate donation to the youth soccer programs. So they have an incentive to want to get all their families to come up and watch high-level soccer. They're going to get 20% back. Well, guess what? UC's done this tremendous job building up their campus. All those families and their kids are now on campus going, wow, look how great UC is. Well, maybe we should think about applying to UC. And then lastly, we're going to be on TV. And so it's an opportunity to showcase the campus on TV. And from our standpoint, the opportunity is there to have these world-class facilities where we have the opportunity to have suites and club seats and all the sponsorships, 40,000 seats. All those tools bring revenue that allow us to then pay players to have a first-class operation. So here's our coach, John Parks, who we went out and hired again. The thought was not, we're going to go out and hire a little name. The thought was, if we're going to be big leagues, if we're going to do this at the right level, we want to have literally the biggest name out there. So when I started this with Carl, I called the league and said, we're going to need a coach. Do you have any good candidates? And they said, well, we got one, but I don't know that it might be a little too big for you. And I said, who? He said, John Harks. And I said, I want to talk to John Harks. So this is a little quick video on John Harks.
Switches it to Harks on the right. That's a good effort. Oh, what a tremendous goal by John Harks!
You can see John is literally the most decorated male soccer player in U.S. history. He's the first American man to play in the English Premier League where he starred. That goal was in his third game. It was the goal of the year in the English Premier League. He's referred to as the captain for life of the U.S. men's team. He was an assistant coach in the MLS under Bruce Arena. He coached him at UVA, where he won the equivalent of the Heisman Trophy. When Bruce went to LA Galaxy, he didn't want to move his family across the country. He became a broadcaster for ESPN and Fox, calling the men's games, and decided he wanted to be a head coach. And obviously, given that he had never been a head coach, he had a choice. Do I want to be an assistant in the MLS again? Or do I want to be my own guy and be the head guy? So he wanted to be the head guy, and Carl and I threw him in here, and he's done a tremendous job. Our assistant coach, Ryan Martin, is from Columbus area, coached with Columbus Crew, was a coach for us, and we knew we were getting some guys that not only would be good coaches, but would be tremendous at recruiting players all over the world, given their soccer network. So I'm going to get into a little bit here in terms of our league and then our roster. So our league is 30 teams from coast to coast. You have a question?
What does caps mean?
Appearances. Starting appearances.
Okay.
Thank you. Good question. It's a soccer thing, right? So our league is, we are one level below MLS, USL, the United Soccer League. And in our league, there's 12 teams that are what are referred to as twos. To use the baseball analogy, they'd be like AAA affiliates. So the LA Galaxy 2, the New York Red Bulls 2, the Seattle Sounders 2. That's 12 of our teams, 18 independents. In the 18 independents are small markets like a Rochester, like an Austin, Wilmington, North Carolina, smaller minor league towns. And then there's a handful of us that we would consider big league towns. So you have Pittsburgh, you have St. Louis, you have Charlotte, you have Sacramento, you have Oklahoma City, and then of course Cincinnati. Our closest rivals would be Louisville, which in the first year, this past year, made it to the Eastern Conference Finals. Did a great job. And then of course Pittsburgh, no one ever likes Pittsburgh. That'll correlate over here too. So baseball, right, Pirates rivalry, of course the Steelers. And so now we'll have Pittsburgh and then St. Louis. And so our roster, what's our roster like? Well, we get 24 players, there's no salary cap. The players are a combination of players from MLS rosters, the USL, the rival NESL league. We're allowed 7 international players, and then some college players that have just finished up their college eligibility. We had open tryouts November 22nd at UC, and we have a combine January 25th through the 29th, which is almost like an extended tryout for the best players from the open tryouts, as well as some players who were injured or maybe that the initial time they thought they were going to sign on, they haven't made a team yet. And so we're going to get a look at it where all of our existing players will be practicing for a week against the guys that want to make the team. So far we have signed and announced 13 players. I can tell you we have another 4 or 5 that we're about to announce here soon. Combination together over 60 years of professional soccer experience. Average age is 27.6. We have 3 international players. And our Ohio guys, we have 3, including our own homegrown Austin Berry, who was the first guy we introduced. Austin went to Summit Country Day, grew up in Anderson, started at the University of Louisville. Louisville was the top soccer program, collegiate program. Got drafted in the first round by the Chicago Fire, was the MLS Rookie of the Year. He then got traded to Philly. Philly loaned him off to Korea. They fired the coach, and the new coach loaned him to Korea. So he got to play in Korea for a year. And we outbid the Chicago Fire to make Austin our first player. So Austin's going to be tremendous. So here's some of our other top players. Mitch Hildebrand is our goalkeeper. He comes from Minnesota, which has been awarded a new MLS franchise. I've mentioned Austin. Pat McMahon, an outside back, was a star on Rochester. They just won the league. They gave up the fewest amount of goals all year. He was a key to that, and we signed him away from the league champs. Kenny Walker, defensive mid, is from the LA Galaxy. We signed him from LA. Bruce Arena, the relationship between John and Bruce Arena sort of allowed him, set it up, so released him so that we could sign him. Corbin Bone, an attacking midfielder. I'll always remember Corbin because he's the first player that I bought. I worked out a deal with Wilmington where he was to buy his rights in soccer. You can do transfer fees to buy players' rights. So that was Corbin. He started at Wake Forest under Ryan Martin, our assistant coach. And then Andrew Wiedemann was a star on Ottawa's team in the NASL, and they were the league runner-up in the NASL. People ask about our schedule. The schedule is going to be released the week of January the 18th. And then in February, we head to IMG Academy in Florida, where we play a tournament down there, including against an MLS squad and 2 international squads. We'll come back in March and have some preseason friendlies. We're training a combination of wall-to-wall up in Mason, as well as the bubble at UC and the fields on UC's campus. We have our inaugural home match will be on April the 9th at Nippert. We'll then have some at least one U.S. Open Cup home match in either May or June. September's the end of the regular season. The playoffs are in October. The regular season consists of 30 matches, 15 home and 15 away. And we expect all of our matches, for the most part, to be on Saturday nights. Probably kick off about 7:15, based on the TV deal we're putting together. We think that's where we're going to be. We'll play either 1 or 2 Wednesday night games at home. It's 30 games. How are we doing? Well, we think we're doing pretty well to start. We have over 3,000 season tickets, and we sold those prior to the schedule being released, and frankly, most of them before we ever signed any of our players. The season tickets are on sale now. We'll have groups and mini plans available in February, single game tickets in March. And then we have a lot of major sponsors on board. UC Health, Toyota, UDF, you can see the logos. US Bank, Pepsi, thank you. Wall to Wall, Gatorade, Western and Southern, Novacare, Donato's, BB&T, Taste of Belgium. We have a bunch of other ones we just haven't announced yet. I can tell you the deals that we did with Toyota and UC Health were the biggest deals in the history of the league. Right now, we have the second most season tickets of any team in the league. Sacramento is the strongest. They have over 10,000 season tickets. We'd love to get there. So in terms of our marketing program, video board recognition, PA announcements, digital sideline advertising, distribution of promotional materials, fan giveaways, website mentions, program ads that we give away to all the fans when they enter. Again, going back to why you see, you need the inventory to do all that. I have with me here, this is Mario Cicchinelli. He's our Vice President of Partnerships and Broadcast. And if anyone, your business is looking to target soccer moms or millennial consumers, we think that we'd find a good program for you. So in terms of ticketing, our tickets are pretty unaffordable. I will say this, having been on selling Bengals for 19 years, the prices are a lot more manageable for a lot of folks. Our partnerships that I was talking about with Mario, just to give you a sense, they could be anywhere from $10,000 to $100,000 based on what we're selling now. On the ticketing side, you can see here the tickets right now we're just selling the seasons, but the tickets are going to range from, again, a season standpoint. For a college student, it's $50 for the season, $3 a game, it'll be $5 on a regular single game basis. We have a supporters area, which is, think of soccer, those loud, with the bells and the smoke and the drums, the zoos, we're calling that the Bailey, that's the red area to the left, $10 a ticket. We have a youth section, which is about $12, $15 a ticket. Again, we're giving 20% of that back. And then you get into the midfield area, and it's going to be around $20 a ticket. So we're trying to make this so it's very affordable for families, for young professionals who want to come down to our games. We have club seats. There's 1,100 club seats at UC. We've already sold 800 of them. So they're $595 a season. That's been the area that's just blown us away on the demand there. If you haven't been to the new Nipper, I'd say you should come to one of our games, if nothing else, just to try out for UC football. They did a tremendous job at UC. And then we also have suites, and we're in the process now of checking with all the UC suite holders, give them first right to keep their suites, but we'll have some suites to sell as well, and the tickets for the suites are $80 a ticket. So again, nothing too out of there. So this just shows there's club seats, suites, midfield seats, and then they have great club lounge. So in terms of the ticketing, we have, I think you saw it on the prior slide, we have a corporate ticketing program where if a company commits to spending a minimum of $5,000 on tickets, they would have the opportunity to extend, they would receive discounted pricing, and then have the opportunity to share that discounted pricing with their employees. And so we have a number of our sponsors and some of our owners, you can imagine, and some of the folks in the Chamber of Commerce and others who are taking us up on that offer and then wanting to extend the offer to their employees. Our goal is to make Cincinnati have one more jewel in the crown. It's a great city. We all love our hometown. We think soccer is the future. For anyone who wonders about really, we've heard it before, I would just say this: attitudes change. Attitudes change quickly. On political issues, you could speak to that. Mike Brown said this to me when I was leaving. He said, the opportunity to do this in a sport that you love. My son is a pretty good player, plays at St. X. My daughter plays. So he shared with me, the opportunity to father and son, father and his family to do a sport together is pretty tremendous. And he said, don't let anyone tell you you can't get it done. He said, when my dad and I came, when we brought the Bengals to Cincinnati, we were in the NFL. That was a minor league. That wasn't the NFL yet. We were playing at Nipper. No one knew what the NFL was going to be at that time, Jeff. No one had any clue it would become, this enormous part of our culture that the NFL has become. But obviously, the country embraced it, and it has become what it is. But we're trying to give Cincinnati another opportunity with this new sport. And we think we have the ownership in place, we have the staff in place, we have the coach and the players, and we're very confident we're going to get it done. And I'd certainly ask for your help if you have an interest in helping us build this new jewel for our city to give us a shot. So I very much thank you for the opportunity to present today. Thank you. I'm happy to take a few questions.
Can you talk a little bit about the choice between USL and ASL, or how that's
Sure.
going to play in those?
Sure. So there was the MLS and the USL, and there was a couple owners that were disaffected from the USL, and so they started their own league, the NASL. And that name had some history back in the 70s. So it is a rival league. They have, I think it's 12 teams right now. We have 30. So, again, if you think of the tiers, if MLS is number one, we have the 12 sort of AAA affiliates in our league. It's sort of, there's a strong connection between MLS and USL that's not really there with the NASL. Having said that, MLS right now is at 20. They're going to 24 with a team in Atlanta, Minneapolis, another one in LA, and then they're going to look to have a team in Miami, owned by David Beckham. So that's going to take them to 24. The commissioner, Don Garber, has announced that they want to go to 28, maybe up to 32. The franchise fee to have an MLS license is $100 million. But not that many groups able to write a check for $100 million for professional soccer. We have an ownership group that can do that. So Carl Linner and I flew up and met with Don Garber before we launched this. We wanted to know, is there anything about Cincinnati that says you're not in our plans? We wanted to know that going in. And we were told no. We want to be in big league markets. We want to be more in the Midwest than we are. And so we would like the opportunity to consider Cincinnati. But you guys have to show that before you spend $100 million, you should make sure the community wants you. You know, seem pretty wise advice. So we are competing against other USL markets like Pittsburgh and St. Louis. We're also competing though against some of the NASL markets, Indy 11. There's a team in San Antonio, just named two, that also would like to move up. And so our goal is that everything that we do is right here. We don't have the resources to be MLS right now, but every way that we conduct ourselves, we flew all the players in for the press conference on the 41st floor of the Great American Tower and took them out to dinner at Ruby's, Carl Dinner, and I hosted them. And, you know, the whole they were saying, we've never had anything like this. Even all the guys in the MLS never had anything like this. Our facilities that you see, locker room and everything, outstanding. And so we're trying to sort of set, you know, a marker that we are Cincinnati, a big league town. Everything the way we're going about this is at the highest level, so that they can help but to give Cincinnati the opportunity to move up. It's going to be their choice. So all we can do is handle our business the right way, and then you know, feel good about the opportunity. Yes, sir.
In that, soccer has for years and years and years been the individual most popular sport in this world. Why is it so long?
Well, the question that we didn't hear was, why is it taking soccer so long when it's so popular everywhere else in the world? You know, everywhere else in the world, they're on their 5th, 6th, 7th generation of soccer players. Here in the United States, we're on our 3rd. You know, maybe to some degree, our 4th. So one is that we just haven't had the history of playing soccer. You certainly are starting to see that now. The other is that our youth organizations have been somewhat, well, you need better coaches. You need players competing against each other. And we have too many youth clubs, too many teams, and not enough good coaches, not enough quality facilities. And so that's also been a part. But I think the other thing really is just, you know, our history in our country is baseball, football, and, you know, that's what's driven the public imagination. But again, I'm just sharing, I brought those slides for a reason. Those are from the NFL data. What is happening in our country in terms of people's interest in soccer is something that this country has never seen. But now we have to bring, you know, globally, now this is your team, and we have to conduct ourselves and be involved in the community and do all the right things that people feel a sense of ownership and pride, just like we do for the Reds and for the Bengals.